Good afternoon, everyone. I am Professor Rishipal, Professor of Pedagogy, Chairperson, Department of Behavioral Sciences, and Dean, Pedagogy and Capacity Building, Sri Vishwakarma Skill University, Haryana. And today we will take up the topic of research identification in the process of research conduction. Basically, this topic is important, one of very significant part of research conduction. Reason being, if we want to conduct the research, the very crucial thing in that is we should identify an appropriate research topic for that. And that research topic should be addressing a research problem or solving a research problem. Problem of society, problem of profession, problem related to any discipline area or multidisciplinary area. And in this topic, first we need to understand the research. And you might be seeing my screen on which it is clearly mentioned that research is a systematic and rigorous investigation about a concept, phenomena, situation, or problem in order to generate the new knowledge, fill up the gap in knowledge, or validate the existing knowledge. So the very first term in research is systematic. Whatever research you will conduct, that should be systematic. Systematic means it should not be unscientific in the manner. It should not be using a non-standardized kind of pattern. It should be conducted by using an appropriate system which can be replicated by anyone. And the second term in that is it is a rigorous investigation. Rigorous investigation means the researcher has to examine, researcher has to discover a new knowledge, a new fact which will be addressing the research problem or which will be giving a solution to a very significant problem of society or a profession. And in this rigorous investigation, either we can take some concept, we try to understand some phenomena, or we try to explain a situation, and that can be better understood. When Newton for the first time explained the concept of gravitational force, then phenomena is, we can take example, the phenomena of dowry in society. That needs to be understood, and why there is dowry in the society. Research need to be conducted on that. Another one is situation. There might be some complex, critical, and tedious situation which cannot be resolved with our existing knowledge. And to address that situation or to address the complexity of that situation, there is need to conduct the research. And yes, of course, all these different elements like concept, phenomena, situation will be taken up as a problem of research, and by solving that problem of research, we shall be generating the new knowledge, or we shall be filling up the gap in knowledge, or we will be validating the existing knowledge. Now we need to understand the meaning of new knowledge. Suppose we take example of COVID-19. When it happened for the first time, we have not been having any knowledge to address that problem. Then the researcher, the medical professionals, and government involved together to create the knowledge, and that knowledge came into existence in the form of development of the vaccine for the problem of COVID-19. So that was a kind of creation of new knowledge, creation of something new. Filling up the gap means some part of knowledge is available, other part is also available, but something in between is missing, and there is need to create a connectivity. That can be better understood with the help of blending of computer technology with mechanical engineering. Actually, we have been having very good technology of computer engineering, and yes, we have been having the automation process of mechanical engineering, but there was need to develop an interface. Interface means when computer technology can be connected with the mechanical engineering. So the lathe machine, which can perform the metal machining process, that was automatic in nature. As computer technology have been having software which can give commands to the lathe machine. So an interface was discovered or invented, and which was connected with the technology of computer and mechanical engineering, and we could fill up the gap. And now CNC machine is the result of the filling up kind of research, and it is being used very successfully. The third element taken is validating the existing knowledge. You might have heard about one of the equation, E equal to mc square, given by Einstein. Even today it is being challenged, and a number of scientists are in process to validate it. And it is not only the scientific principles, and it is not only the scientific theory, or it is not only the humanities and management. Among all fields, there are different theories, different approaches, different models which are being practiced and which are being challenged. We can take simplest example of initially we have been having theory that sun is moving around the earth, but that theory was challenged, and after challenging, now the new theory is that earth is moving around the sun. So that was kind of validation of existing knowledge. So this is research. Now if we want to conduct the research, then the very next step in that is to understand why we want to conduct the research. And again, the conduction of research is to address the issues and challenges to solve the problem. There are two or three concepts like issue, challenge, and a problem. Now, issue means something social issue, something political issue, something a scientific glitch or issue has appeared in some technology. Similarly, challenge and problem. All these three basically addresses one thing, that whatever is our existing knowledge that is not capable to address either the issue, challenge, or problem. So research will rework on it and will try to help us in addressing the issue, challenge, or the problem. The second basic purpose for conduction of research is to create the new knowledge. Reason being, if we start from the primitive time, in the primitive time we have been using the primitive equipments, gadgets, tools, and to make this world more comfortable, more useful, there was need to learn, there was need to create better knowledge. And for that we conduct research, because whatever comfort, whatever luxury, whatever addressing to the basic need we have made, it is because of creation of the new knowledge, and that created new knowledge is facilitated for the learning. The third reason for conduction of research is to develop the new technology. Again, I will take the same example, and the example is in the primitive time, for the first time, when the then man or the primitive man find fire somewhere. From that point onwards, even today, we have conducted a lot many researches to better use the fire. And yes, of course, it is fire which is being used among power plants, which is being used and within the chamber of our automobile engine, and still we are working on it. Another example we can take, that the invention of wheel. Initially that wheel was a wooden wheel, but now you see what different kind of wheels we have, but still we have to work a lot. And all this has happened as a result of development of new technology. So research is conducted for the development of new technology, and research also helps in developing the skills and techniques. We can take example of typewriter and computer. We have been having a completely different set of skills to use the typewriter. But in case of computer, number of other features were added and lot many facilities were added to the computer, and it was not possible for the people, those who have been using the typewriter, they could use the computer. So the techniques also the result of conduction of research, and with the help or with the support of technology creation and technique creation, the learning can be made more easy. And the best example is when computer came for the first time, all people went to the various training programs to learn how to operate the computer, how to use the computer. But now your this mobile phone equipment is very complex, having so many of the features, even more than your computer, but it is very easy to use that. Reason being, we have developed very simple technique to use them. So take creation of skill and technique is also as a result of conduction of research. And the next one is development of new products. I told you that we started with the wheel, and you can take example of any product, a food product, a daily utility product, a commodity, or anything. If we scroll back into the past, the quality of product was comparatively poor, and it had been very costly. But now in the present day, we have products which are very good in quality, and yes, of course, cheaper. And it is as a result of uh, the research, because research supports us in bringing the technology, and technology helps us to develop such kind of products which are cheaper in price and having a lot of utilities in the form of quality. Another uh, reason for conduction of research is to attain goals and objectives. There are certain goals and objectives to be achieved by the organizations, by the different departments, and yes, of course, by the nations. And for the achievement of those goals and objectives, elimination of poverty. How poverty can be eliminated from India? More than 30% population of India is poor, and more than 20% of people of India sometimes do not have guarantee of food and all that. So there are certain political, governance related, economic, and other objectives. And for the attainment of those objectives and goals, it is necessary to conduct research so that minimum resources, minimum energy, time can be spent on that, and the benefit of creation of all that can be given to maximum of the population. And that can be done by conducting research related to the attainment of goals and objectives. The next reason for conduction of research is to disapprove the lies and establish the truths. As I took example of that, prior to the development of theory that that Earth is moving around the sun, the theory was that sun is moving around the sun. But later on, as a result of discovery, now it is established that Earth is moving around the sun. So prior to that, it was a kind of lie, and now it is truth. So the research helps us to establish the truth, to find out the truth, to find out the fact, and to establish it. Another reason for conduction of research is to find out the size of opportunities, to gauge the opportunities, how many opportunities are there. Recently, there is one research happened in India that uh, thorium available in seawater can be extracted and it can be used as a fuel in the nuclear reactor. So now the scientists are in process to gauge and measure the opportunity, how much opportunity or how much that amount of this material is available in the seawater and how it can be utilized. The next reason for conduction of research is reading, writing, analyzing, and sharing valuable information. There are a number of people, those who are interested, they might not be interested in conduction of research, but they want to keep themselves updated. Updated means in a particular domain. Suppose someone is working in the field of library sciences. So what is happening there? Or someone is working in the field of psychology. Nowadays, lot many apps are available, and these apps are available, yes, of course, for the professionals, for the people, those who want to use it. If suppose someone is in the state of depression, there is one app available which can be used uh, by putting it into the mobile phone, or otherwise by using an equipment that will give information to the person who is using that app, that there are symptoms of depression to the person, and accordingly appropriate action can be taken, appropriate steps can be taken to prevent the person from the grievous situation. So another reason for conduction of research is nourishment and exercise for the mind. Yes, that can also be one of the reason, and it provides the latest information. It builds up the credibility. If we talk about credibility, whatever vaccine has been invented for treatment of this COVID-19, the credibility is still on doubt. We doubt whether it will give 100% protection to us, 75% protection to us, or 50%. And resultantly, we planned for the first time that we will give one dose of vaccine. Then later on, it was invented, or it was discovered by the scientist that its credibility may be not 100%. So we should go for the second dose, and then it was decided that we should go for the booster or third dose also to establish the credibility. So research can establish the credibility whether the developed product, developed services are credible or not. Next reason for conduction of research is for the uh, generation of new ideas, creativity, and innovation. It also helps in solution of the problem. And yes, there are a lot many people, those being curious, want to conduct the research. Now, why I have explained all that into detail? When you will start your research, that you have some reason for conduction of the research. If you are conducting a research which has no reason in it, then it means it would be a futile exercise. Futile exercise means you are spending a lot many resources, you are spending your time, you are spending your effort, and yes, valuable money is also spent on the conduction of your research. And if your research is being conducted without any reason, without any objective, then it will be a futile exercise. If we take example of India, India has reached to such a state of development where there is need to improve, overhaul nearly all the existing systems so that we can have better performance among various walks of life. It may be the social sciences, it may be general sciences, it may be related to the technology. If I talk about technology, then yes, of course, India needs that kind of technology which is created by utilizing the Indian resources and the technology which is useful for the Indian people, because the Indian cultural, social, geographical conditions are totally different, and we should invent accordingly. And that kind of invention and research can be conducted only when we will have some of these reasons for the conduction of research. Now, the next step in conduction of research or identification of research problem is we must understand what are different steps involved in conduction of research. And the very first step is research problem identification. This session is meant to explain only this step only, but I have included all because we need to understand what different steps we have to perform or conduct. And for that, there is need to create a connectivity, a coherence, a flow in your research. So the very first one is research problem identification. Then second one is, once your research problem is identified, you will formulate your research question. Research question, there is difference between the research problem and research question. You have to reply to the question of a discipline, of multidiscipline or interdiscipline. You have to reply to a question, and that reply to the question will actually be the creation of new knowledge, creation of filling up of gap in the knowledge, or would be a kind of validation of existing knowledge. So this is second step. In the third step, we will finalize the research topic. There is difference in identifying the problem, converting that into the research question, and then yes, of course, making it or framing it as the topic of your research. Reason being, your topic of your research will be the key reference for you to conduct the research. Whenever you will conduct the literature review, whenever you will finalize your objective and hypothesis, whenever you will finalize your research methodology for the conduction of your research, and whenever you will use the existing knowledge for the support of findings and results of your knowledge, your research topic will guide you what is to be done and what not to be done. And even in the compilation of research report, it is your research topic which will guide you to finalize that. And after finalizing your research topic, yes, of course, we will go for the extensive literature survey for appraising the background knowledge. This extensive literature survey will not be conducted on fourth step. Even I have taken it on the fourth step, but it is not possible even to identify the problem, formulate your research question, and finalize your research topic. So your extensive literature survey will start just when you will have idea in your mind that you want to conduct a research. From that point itself, you need to go for comprehensive literature survey so that you can update your knowledge. Yes, you can find out suitable material for conduction of your research. So it is at most important to appraise the background knowledge, and that step can come very first as well as on the fourth step. The next step in conduction of research is finalization of research objective and hypothesis. So in the next topic, we shall be talking about on this in the next session. And the next step involved is a very comprehensive step, and that step includes selection of research method. And if we talk about research method, there are different components. When we will finalize the research method, now, yes, we will finalize which research design, whether experimental, non-experimental, or quasi-experimental, or other type of research design we are going to use for conduction of our research. And after finalization of research design, we will finalize the sampling technique or data collection method. And once we are ready with the data collection method, then by using which equipment, instrument, scale, or tool we will collect the data, or what machine is required to collect the data. And once data is collected, the next thing in that, or the next step in that, is we need to analyze the data. We need to interpret the data. We need to give meaning to the data. Or in other words, there are three concepts: data, information, and knowledge. Data is raw form of collected facts as a result of some experiment or research. When you have collected the raw facts, then these raw facts are organized and analyzed by using certain statistical tools or techniques. And these statistical techniques will give meaning. And once meaning is added to the data, it will become information. Or in other words, we can say the meaningful data is information. And when meaningful data has become information, and that information is useful also, that is knowledge. So basic objective of research conduction is to create knowledge, and creation of knowledge means that kind of knowledge which is useful. What I want to emphasize, if you are conducting your research for that kind of knowledge which is not at all useful for anyone, not for the society, not for the community, not for the profession, and not for any purpose, then it is not a kind of research. So statistical technique, and then we will decide the procedure and what kind of field work is required. Suppose you want to conduct your research on moon, or you want to conduct your research at North or South Pole, or you want to conduct your research on sea water, or you want to conduct your research in the rural background area related to some social sciences topic. So accordingly, you must understand what kind of field work is necessary for that. And yes, for conduction of each research, there are certain ethical issues. There is need to observe the ethical aspects when we are dealing with human beings, and among human beings when we are dealing with children, elderly people, sick people, deceased people. Or in social sciences, like in psychology, we are dealing with people, those who are mentally challenged, those who are mentally insane. Then there are certain ethical points which we must observe in our research. We must treat human beings like human beings. If animals are included in our research, then appropriately, with all respect, animals should be involved in the research. And last in that is, we must have understanding of which and how we should include the variable, or in other words, what should be the inclusion and exclusion criteria for conduction of research. So that is one of the major step in conduction of research. And next step is the collected data will be analyzed. It will be presented into the form of table, graphs, and there are various means of presentation. And after presentation, we will go for the interpretation and we will discuss that. And lastly, the research report will be prepared and presented. These are the steps which can be used in conduction of the research. Now coming to the, as I told you in the last slide, that the basic objective of this session is to discuss or to explain the research problem identification process. So the very first thing is how we can identify the research. And in the identification, let us first try to understand the problem. What is problem? You see the screen, really problem is very complex. So what is problem? I told you already, a challenge which cannot be addressed with the existing knowledge. And best example is happening of COVID-19 for the first time. We have not been having knowledge to address that situation. And resultantly, the whole humanity was confined to their houses. No one was allowed to come out. And not only that, even breathing was obstructed by putting mask on the nose. And yes, of course, there was requests for the frequent washing your hands. Reason being, we have not been having knowledge how to address that. Whatever knowledge we use, that was just protective. It was not in the form of treatment or curative. So problem or challenge is something which cannot be addressed with our existing knowledge. So that is problem. Now, what kind of problem can be taken as a research problem? If the problem is solved by anyone, then it is not a research problem. Suppose we have been having treatment of COVID-19 in India, but suppose it had not been with America, then this knowledge can be provided. So anywhere in this world, if there is solution of the problem, that solution can be utilized by anyone. But if there is a problem or a challenge which is not being solved or addressed by anyone, that type of problem can be taken as a research problem. And simply understanding, research problem is a well-framed statement. It is statement, and this statement is about unresolved or unaddressed challenge, issue, concern, or situation. It may be even a concern. It may be even an issue. Issue relates social issue, cultural issue. And presently we are going through number of social issues. Number of times you might have seen that girls are being raped and murdered. That is really a very serious social issue, and that needs to be resolved. So in research problem, we will take up a challenge, an issue, or a concern, or a situation that needs to be addressed by creating the new knowledge, or by filling up the gap in knowledge, or by validating the existing knowledge. Another fact I have taken related to research problem is research problem sometimes taken as a research question. And research question means why this is happening, how this is happening. Newton simply replied to one of the why this apple is coming towards earth, why it is not going towards sky. That question was. And if we take example of Dr. Ronald Rose, who invented the medicine, or who invented that what is reason for spread of malaria. So in that, the question was, what is reason for spread of malaria? And lastly, he found that it is Anopheles female mosquito which is responsible for spread of malaria. So sometimes your research problem may also be taken as a research question. Now, the basic element of research problem are, yes, it should have some purpose or objective. Purpose or objective means there might be number of objectives. When you will try to find out the relationship between any two variables, what is relationship of your hike in prices with the lesser supply? What is relationship between that? But that relationship is not going to create a purpose. The basic purpose is how the prices can be brought down. And already I told you that technology can be intervention. What technology can help? You can take example of about 20 or 25 years before. If you want to watch a movie, and that movie you want to watch by using the recorded cassette, for that you need to have a video player or a video recorder, VCP or VCR. And the price of that VCP and VCR had been more than 25,000 about 20 years before. But now if you want to watch a movie, simply you ask your friend or anyone, you just click your mobile phone and you can watch your movie. You do not need this much of the money. The facility available in your mobile phone is an additional feature of now a technology which was available in 25,000 rupees is available free of cost to you. And how it has happened? It has happened as a result of technological intervention. So if you want to conduct a research, the very first objective is it should have some purpose. It should resolve some problem of common man. It should give relief to the community, society, and it should bring a new set of knowledge to the profession. And second element in that is there should be some scope and limitation. What this research is going to provide, what is scope of that research, and how this research is limited. The limitations should also be mentioned clearly. And these limitations and scope should reflect in the research problem itself. And the next element in that is possibility to frame the research question. Whatever research you are conducting, while conducting it, when you are writing the introduction of your research, in that you must mention what question you are going to reply or what question you want to answer by conducting your research. And the next one is the operational definitions. When you will conduct research, now you will involve different variables, and these variables must have the operational definition. We need to understand the simple definition and operational definition. Let us take the word value. If I use the word value in psychology, I use the word value in management, I use the word value in economics, and in psychology itself, if I use the word value in clinical psychology, I use the word value in counseling psychology, the meaning changes. So what meaning the researcher has taken with respect to a certain variable, a concept, or a term being used in the research, it should clearly be mentioned, and that will be the operational definition of research. So these are some of the elements. Now, there are certain prerequisites. If researcher want to conduct the research, then the researcher should be ready with certain aspects, and those aspects are: number one, there should be deep interest of the researcher. If researcher has not a deep interest in conduction of research, somewhere midway researcher will abandon the research, and abandoning the research midway means it is wastage of national, personal, institutional resources. So you must have appropriate and ample interest in conduction of the research. And next is, yes, of course there should be need. Again, we can take example of COVID-19. There was a dire need to invent, and so why so rigorous and so quick research was conducted, and we can see that just in 1 year we can get the relief which was invented by the researcher. And the third prerequisite is there should be comprehensive knowledge related to the discipline area in which we want to conduct the research. Comprehensive knowledge means there should be updated, latest, deep knowledge about the area. Only then research can be conducted. If, by the way, someone is conducting a research which is obsolete in nature, then it is futile exercise. And some other points are approach for innovation and creativity. Sustained motivation is mandatory. If you have started your research, you should sustain it. And yes, there should be feasibility of conduction of research. If you want to conduct the research, but funds are not available, or your research is related to a very remote area, and conduction of research is not physically or technically possible. So before conduction of research, you have to test the feasibility of conduction of research, and whatever resources are necessary needs to be mobilized or needs to be managed for the conduction of research. So these are some of the points for as prerequisite for conduction of research. Now, the steps in formulating a research problem, how we can formulate a research problem. Now we have complete background knowledge of conduction of research, and the steps involved are inquire and finalize the most interesting area of your discipline. If you want to conduct a research, always take your interest into consideration. And why we have to take interest into consideration? Because your interest will be very high among those areas where already your knowledge is very good. If our mathematics is very poor and we will go for conduction of research in mathematics, that will not be justice. We should choose that discipline area of research conduction which is very interesting to us. Second step in formulation of research problem is comprehensive literature survey. Literature survey helps us to identify the problem, helps us to update our knowledge in the field area, helps us to finalize our objective and hypothesis, helps us to support our finding and results. So there is need to go for a comprehensive literature survey before formulation of the research. And next step in that is select a sub area. Once you have identified a broader discipline area of your interest, in that broader area of discipline, you need to find out a sub area which is most interesting to you, and in that area then identify the need for creation of new knowledge. Yes, of course, there should be genuine need. There should be really a problem. There should be some question which is unanswered. So identify that. And once that is identified, the next step is develop the research question. Convert that into a research question. And conversion of that research question will result into the researchable problem. So lastly, define, classify, and frame a problem which can be researchable, means its feasibility is also tested. And what could be the various sources? You can identify a problem from your personal or practical experience of others also. If someone has undergone some practical experience and found some challenge, or the researcher himself or herself has underwent some personal experience which was challenging and which was not possible to resolve or to address with the existing knowledge, that can be taken as a source for identification of research. Similarly, I told you that there is need of comprehensive literature survey. So during the comprehensive literature survey, you will find some topic of your interest, and that comprehensive literature survey is going through books, going through journals. When you were going through journals, or you could read 5 or 7 very good articles related to your interest area, and suddenly an insight came to your mind. This area is untouched. No research has been conducted in this area. And this is not only that research has not been conducted. Yes, of course, there is need of new knowledge in the respective area. So comprehensive and critical literature review can also be a source for identification of the problem. And next one is experts domain, those who are already working. You will find in the research report the part as limitation and suggestions. And these limitations and suggestions are given by the experts. These limitations and suggestions can be taken as the source for conduction of new research. From field area, you can go to the respective fields of technology, politics, culture, or all these different fields. And from these fields, you can identify the problem. And the next source can be problem faced by the society or professionals, those who are working in that, or those who are involved related to that, right? And the best example we can take that in Vidarbha, number of farmers are committing suicide. Why it is happening there? What is reason for that? So that reason can be taken, and from there, by interacting with the experts, by interacting with the farmers, by going to the field, we can identify the research problem. Previous researches can also help us to identify a research problem. Existing theories and models. I told you that the equation equal to mc square is even today being retested, and people are trying to revalidate it. So existing theories, and these theories are not scientific theories only. The theories related to the social sciences, related to management. We started in management with the scientific management, and now it is blending of various different thoughts of school, and only then we could manage the multinational companies. You take example of Coca-Cola, which is having business more than 100 countries. So what kind of management strategies? It is possible with the help of the existing theory reworking only. So curiosity, insights, and information gaps and controversies. Yes, sometimes controversy can also be a reason or a source for conduction of research. And there are 4 different types of research problems: descriptive research problem, relational research problem, difference research problem, and causal research problem. In the descriptive research problem, we need to describe a concept, a phenomena, or anything. Whenever we try to describe something, that can be taken as a descriptive uh, research. And the core sciences research, the core principles of management, all those can be studied, all those can be understood by conducting the descriptive research problem. And example related to that is, what are the attitudes of rural parents towards the inclusion of sexuality education in the school curriculum? So what is their attitude? We need to describe the attitude of parents related to the sexuality education. So that kind of research may be the descriptive research. The next type of research problem is relationship related research, and in that we investigate the relationship among 2 factors or 2 variables. If diet is improved, what will happen to the performance of students? If appropriate sleep is not given to the student, or students are not given opportunity to take sound sleep, what will happen to their health? So whenever we try to establish the relationship among 2 factors, 2 variables, that is a relationship. And example for that is there an association between self-esteem and eating behavior? What will happen if my self-esteem is very high? Then what will happen to my eating behavior? So that kind of research problem is the relationship research problem. And next one is different question or different type of research problem. In that, we compare between two groups when we try to find out the intelligence level among male and female, or any same factor is being tested among different demographical sections of society and then compared. And it is not related to the social sciences only. If we try to find out the comparison among two different technologies, we are having number of technologies for the accomplishment of same kind of activity. So which one is the best? If that kind of research is to be conducted, then we will go for a different type of question. And the example for that is, does participation in special Olympic affect the self-esteem of adults with mental retardation? And next one is the causal problem. And in this, we try to establish cause and effect relationship between two factors. And example for that is, does training has impact on the performance or not? Impact of one on other. One is deliberately manipulated and its impact is studied. Now the criteria again is the interest, significance, and manageability. Now we have finalized the research problem. Again, we have to test the level of interest, the significance, whether it is significant or not, and significant in the respect of theoretical value, practical value, timeliness, and external reviews, all that. And yes, of course, manageability of the research with respect to the expertise, time, and resources. Now, the characteristic of research problems are, the research problem should be clear and concise. Once someone is reading, that itself should be self-explanatory. There should not be the need of availability of researcher to explain the problem. It should be written in such a way so that anyone reading it will understand what is this research or what this research is going to search out. And next one is, research problem should be capable to address the research question. Yes, whatever research question you have identified, that should be well incorporated in your research problem. If possible, the research problem should involve some theory grounded. It is not possible for all the time to involve some theory or model in the research, but if it is possible to involve or to include, then it is very good. And research problems should be multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary. Nowadays, nearly all researchers are emphasizing to involve in. Reason being, we started with the plastic to protect the environment. Now plastic itself has become a problem for the environment, and we have again started talking that let us eliminate the plastic and again start using the paper. The reason is, we didn't study the impact of use of plastic by involving multiple disciplines. If we would have studied it, then in the initial stage itself, we had been discarded it, that it is not appropriate to use the plastic. So these are some of the characteristics, and other characteristics are, it should be potential significance or importance, and it should be feasible within frame of, yes, whatever research you will plan, your problem itself be explanatory, that within the time frame you have decided the research will be conducted, and there should be ample possibility for availability or collection of sufficient data. It is not possible to conduct any research without collecting data. That data may be related to or it may be related to bringing fact in the literature, bringing fact in the social sciences, or collection of data in management. So it should be easily available. And last one is availability of appropriate methodology, how we will conduct the research. The research problem should be designed in such a way so that with the help of existing research methodology, we can conduct the research. And then we will distill out, we will filter the research problem, and we will frame it in the clear, concise, and the brief manner, and then we will develop the statement of the problem. And once we have statement of the problem, I have given some of how we can write. The problem of this study was to, it may be any discipline. You can add to or another form of writing the research problem is this study was concerned with, or this study is designated to. These are some of the initial lines which can be used for writing the research problem statement. And I have given some samples of research problem statements. These statements can be used to understand, and accordingly you can develop and design your research problem statements by making up your mind with the help of these statements. And yes, of course, you will understand the delimitation in the field. Some of the examples have been included related to number and kind of subjects, treatment conditions, test measures. All these factors should be there in your mind while designing your research problem. Again, some limitations, and you will make the assumptions. And lastly, you must involve all the variables or factors you want to include in your research, and then you have to decide the approach, whether you will go for quantitative or qualitative type of research that should also be reflecting in your research, and your independent and dependent variable, different variables, and lastly, you will develop the research problem. I have given 3 different examples in this slide which can differentiate between research problem, research question, and research topic. You must clearly understand what problem you have identified, and as a result of identification of that problem, what research question you are going to reply or answer, and lastly, what research topic you will frame for your research conduction. And to help you, I have given example of research topic, research problem, and research question. All these 3 are related to the COVID-19, and I have taken that because it happened just in the near past, so we can very easily understand that. Thank you very much. Thanks.